Hi ladies, welcome back to the Feminine Universe. I'm so happy to have you here. We are continuing with part 2 of Feminine Etiquette. In part 1, we covered the purpose of etiquette and how in a world where manners seem optional, having great etiquette is just one more way we can refine ourselves. We also did a refresher on our basics and went over the importance of our presentation. In this part, we will be covering etiquette when meeting and greeting, during conversations, and when socializing and dining. We've established that the proper presentation can give us the upper hand before we even say a word. Now, let's get into how to maintain that upper hand when the time comes for us to start speaking. We'll start with how we greet and speak with people. So, the first thing you want to do is be sure to greet everyone. Depending on how casual or formal the situation is, you can choose from standard greetings like hi or hello or good morning, good evening. When you're walking into or entering a space, the general rule of thumb is that it's the job of the person entering the space to greet first. For example, if you step onto an elevator and someone is already in there, it's technically your job to say hello. I personally don't mind saying hello first either way because I know some people aren't aware of this and they aren't sure if they should say anything at all. If you are in a place where elders are highly revered, it is considered respectful for younger people to greet the elders regardless of who was there first. If you're entering the office or something like that, you don't have to give individual greetings to everyone. Something simple like, good morning everyone, should do the trick. It can be tempting when you only know or only like certain people in a group to only acknowledge them, but we know that's not very polite. So if you're catching up with family and friends who you'd probably hug or kiss, and they're with someone you're not familiar with, you can just opt for a handshake and a hello, or eye contact, a smile, and a hello. Next, you want to remember and use people's names. People love the sound of their names. It's been studied. I like to repeat someone's name back to them when being introduced, and then maybe once more in the conversation or when parting ways. There's no need to overdo this one. You also want to maintain eye contact when conversing. It makes people feel connected to you and like you're really paying attention, but of course we shouldn't just stare nonstop. Do things to break eye contact periodically to keep it from getting weird or creepy. Raise your eyebrows a little when something is surprising. Tilt your head back or cover your mouth and laugh a little. Nod a few times in a row to convey agreement or understanding without having to speak and cut someone off. Now, there are also things we should try to avoid during conversations, like hijacking the conversation. Some people are unaware that they do this, and it can occur for various reasons. For some people, they just get really excited or passionate about a subject and take over the conversation. Other people are poor conversationalists who can't share the spotlight and haven't really learned how to volley back and forth. For other people, it's a nervous tic. They just tend to ramble on and on when they're nervous or uncomfortable. But whatever the reasoning is, it all has the same result. It leaves people feeling trapped and just seeking a way to escape, which is not the feeling we want to be associated with. Next thing we want to avoid is being overly familiar. Basically, we want to avoid asking or telling too much too soon. Certain things should just be off the table in a first meeting or before you know someone really well. This can be things like finances, illnesses, politics, unless it's something where the venue requires that. Like if you're at a political conference, then of course politics should be on the table. But being overly familiar can really convey a lack of self-control, boundaries, and a lack of social etiquette. It's really just uncomfortable to be asked things you don't want to share or to be told things you don't want to know. Another thing we should avoid is gossip and rumors. This one just makes you come across petty and untrustworthy. Let's all be honest, we all chit-chat here and there, and I personally think there's a lot to be learned from analyzing the situations of others in a non-slanderous, non-character assassination kind of way. But save those conversations for your mom, sister, cousin, bestie. They are not appropriate conversations in social or corporate settings, or with people you don't know well, or in any situation where it will get back to the person. Like we said, it's almost impossible to come out of those situations looking good. It will typecast you as petty and untrustworthy. When conversing, we also want to be mindful of how to escape gracefully. There comes a point when you will need to end a conversation, either because it's run its course naturally, or it's become uncomfortable, or just plain old boring. The classic line here is, well, it was great talking to you, see you soon, or take care. I also like to throw in something like, I need to say my other hellos, or I see a few people I haven't said hello to yet, and I don't want to be in trouble with anyone. Take care. Depending on the situation, you can add a light tap on the forearm or shoulder to indicate finality, then walk away. Now let's talk a little bit about social events and dining. A lot of social activities revolve around sharing a meal with other people. There are also a lot of ways for wires to get crossed and for mistakes to be made in these situations. As with everything else, being on time for social events is crucial and conveys respect. I know for certain people from certain cultures and backgrounds, the on-time thing is a struggle for us, especially for social situations. Trust me, I know. But many restaurants have a requirement for entire parties to be present before being seated. Someone hosting a dinner party in their home may also wait for all guests to arrive before serving dinner. So by being late, we hold everyone else up. Remember, when hosting an event, it is technically the host's responsibility to cover the bill. These days, I know it's become commonplace to invite people out and have them cover their own tab, as well as a portion of the birthday person when celebrating a birthday or the honoree of any event. Though this is not technically appropriate, I know a lot of us have both been to these and planned these. The true point of etiquette is to just make sure that everyone is on the same page, so there are no surprises or awkwardness at the end. So if it is clear ahead of time that the bill will be split and people are invited with ample time and notice, I'd say about 4 weeks, it is a modern exception that many people are okay with. Those who are uncomfortable with this setup should be given the option to easily, discreetly decline without being questioned or badgered. But be aware, as you move up in society, this kind of event becomes more unlikely and more frowned upon. Same goes for a date. The host is responsible for the bill. If a man asks you on a date, he's not just paying because he's the man. He's paying because he invited you out, which makes him the host of the evening. If proper etiquette was understood and followed, you see how it would remove all the confusion and the fiddling that some people feel the need to do during the payment portion. It would simply come down to who invited who out. Now, when we arrive at the dinner table, we are keeping our phones, lip gloss, and handbags off of the table. Remember to place your napkin on your lap, and we generally wait until everyone has been served to begin eating, unless told otherwise by the host. If you get up to go to the restroom or anything, the napkin on your lap gets placed on your chair, not back on the table. The proper way to hold your wine glass is by the stem, and you should face the side of the glass with your lipstick print towards you, not out towards the rest of the guests. If you can remember, try to sip from that same spot throughout the evening to prevent lip prints from getting all over the rim of your glass. When it comes to utensils that are already set out at the table for you, the general rule of thumb is to work from the outside in. If you ladies are actually interested in formal dinner table etiquette in more detail, we can definitely talk about that in the future. If you're in a very foreign environment, let's say a very different culture with rules and traditions you're not accustomed to, just try to lean back a little and observe what others do, what they order, and so on. If you're friendly with anyone there, discreetly ask them for a quick rundown on what's generally appropriate. This works for many different situations, not just when dining. If you ever find yourself severely out of place somewhere, just try to observe and mimic what the locals or the regulars are doing until you can get a friend or guide to give you the 411. Hopefully, this provided a brief understanding of some basic etiquette and why it's important. Let me know if you ladies want any specific etiquette guidelines for dates, for formal dinners, corporate environments, or dealing with rude, nosy people, or anything else where the etiquette can be a little tricky sometimes. Until next time, ladies, stay feminine, stay focused, and have fun.